My wife secretly sold my car to pay for her luxury shopping, so I took the ultimate revenge. I thought my wife loved me. I thought we were a team. But the moment I came home to find my car missing, I realized I had been living with a complete stranger. At first, I assumed it had been stolen. My heart was racing as I checked the security cameras, only to see my wife casually handing over the keys to some guy and taking cash in return. I felt my stomach drop. She sold my car. Without asking, without telling me, and the reason to fund her shopping addiction. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just betrayal, this was war. And if she thought she could take everything from me without consequences, she was about to learn the hard way that I don't play games. Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now, let's start the video. I stood there, staring at the security footage, trying to process what I had just seen. My wife, the woman I trusted, the woman I built a life with, had sold my damn car like it was some old piece of furniture she didn't need anymore. And for what? Designer bags, expensive shoes, jewelry she didn't need. My hands were shaking as I grabbed my phone and called her. She picked up on the second ring, sounding way too casual. "Hey babe, what's up?" I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "Where's my car?" There was a slight pause. Then, in the most dismissive tone imaginable, she said, "Oh, yeah, about that, I sold it. She sold it. Just like that. Like it was no big deal. Like it wasn't my car. Bought with my money, my hard work." "You what?" I growled. She let out an exaggerated sigh, like I was overreacting. "Babe, come on. It was just sitting in the driveway. You barely use it, and I really needed the money. It's not a big deal." "Not a big deal?" That car wasn't just any car. It was a classic model, one I had worked on for years, customizing every part. I loved that thing. It wasn't just a vehicle, it was a damn passion project, and she had sold it without even asking me. "How much?" I asked, my voice ice cold. "Huh? How much did you sell it for?" She hesitated. Red flag. Finally, she mumbled, 10,000? 10,000. 10,000. My heart almost exploded in my chest. That car was worth triple that amount, at least, and she just handed it over for pocket change. I didn't say another word. I hung up and sat down, trying to calm myself, but I couldn't. My blood was boiling. That's when I knew this wasn't something I could just let go. If she thought she could screw me over like this and walk away with her luxury shopping spree, she had another thing coming. I was going to make her regret every single decision that led her to this moment. I didn't call her back. I didn't text. I didn't yell or argue. I just sat there, staring at the blank screen of my phone, letting the anger settle into something colder, something sharper. Because here's the thing. I wasn't just mad. I was done. My wife had crossed a line that no apology could fix. This wasn't just some minor mistake or a misunderstanding. She sold my car behind my back to fund her shopping addiction. She had zero respect for me, for my property, or for the hard work I had put into building our life. And if she thought I was just going to sit back and take it, she was about to get the shock of her life. I spent the next few hours gathering information. First, I found the buyer's contact details from the online listing she had used. A few calls later, I got in touch with the guy who had bought my car. And guess what? He was more than happy to sell it back to me for the exact same price, $10,000. It burned me to know that I was basically paying for my own stolen property, but in the long run, it was worth it. Once the deal was locked in, I moved to the next step of my plan. I went through our bank statements. I wasn't surprised when I saw that she had blown through almost all of the cash she got from the sale. Thousands of dollars, gone in days. Designer brands, jewelry, spa treatments. It was disgusting. But here's where it gets good. See, my wife had always been careless with money. She was so used to living off my hard work that she never bothered to understand how our finances actually worked. What she didn't know, most of our accounts were in my name. She had no idea just how much control I actually had over our finances. And since she wanted to play dirty, I was about to flip the script on her entire life. I started making a few adjustments. Step 1, I cut her off. I froze all the credit cards she used, shut down every single account that had my name attached to it. The only money she had left was whatever she had saved, which, knowing her, wasn't much. Step 2, I took back what was mine. Everything in the house that I had paid for, the expensive furniture, the TV, the luxury items she flaunted online, all of it was bought with my money, and legally, it belonged to me. So, while she was out living her best life, I started moving things out. By the time she walked through the front door that evening, the house looked empty. And her nightmare was just beginning. When my wife walked through the door that evening, arms full of designer shopping bags, she froze. The house was half empty. The expensive furniture, gone. The massive TV she loved to watch reality shows on, gone. Even the high-end coffee machine she always bragged about, nowhere to be found. She dropped the bags. What the hell is this? I sat calmly on the couch, one of the few things I left behind. I didn't even look at her when I spoke. Oh, you mean all the stuff that I bought? Yeah, I took it back. She let out a nervous laugh, but I could see the panic setting in. You're joking, right? I turned to her, my face completely blank. Do I look like I'm joking? She started pacing. Okay, I get that you're mad about the car, but you're acting crazy. You can't just take things from our house. I tilted my head. Our house? Funny, because I checked the paperwork today. Guess whose name is the only one on the mortgage? She stopped mid-step. Yeah. She didn't know. She had spent years mooching off me, so comfortable in her little shopping-addicted bubble that she never bothered to check the legal details. She had assumed that because we were married, everything was automatically half hers. But legally, it was all mine. Oh, and another thing, I added, standing up. I called the guy who bought my car. You know, the one you sold for 10 grand, I bought it back. So, congratulations, you just sold my car for absolutely nothing. Her jaw dropped. You can't do this, she stammered. I just did. Then, the real meltdown began. She started screaming, saying I was being cruel and abusive, that I was ruining her life over a tiny mistake. She even tried fake crying, but I had seen her pull that act so many times before. This wasn't remorse. This was panic. And I wasn't done yet. She wasn't just panicking, she was desperate. I could see it in the way her hands shook as she grabbed her phone, probably thinking she could call someone to bail her out. But that's when she realized her credit cards didn't work anymore. Why is my card declining? She asked, her voice rising. I shrugged. Oh yeah, I froze all our joint accounts. Well, technically they were never really joint. You just had access to them. Not anymore. Her face turned red. You can't do that. I need money. Should have thought of that before selling my car to fund your shopping addiction. She screamed in frustration, throwing her purse onto the floor like a child having a tantrum. You're being a psycho over a stupid car. Do you know how selfish you sound? I let out a laugh. An actual laugh. The audacity of this woman was unreal. Selfish? I repeated. You stole and sold my property behind my back. You used the money to buy yourself a bunch of overpriced crap, and now that you're facing the consequences, I'm the selfish one. She glared at me, her breathing ragged. You can't just throw me out. I'm your wife. Not for long. I pulled out the divorce papers and set them on the counter. Her eyes widened as she stepped back. No, you wouldn't. Oh, I absolutely would. See, I had spent the past few weeks quietly preparing for this moment. The car was the final straw, but the marriage had been dead long before that. I had already hired a lawyer, gathered all the evidence of her reckless spending, and set everything up to ensure that when this divorce went through, she would walk away with nothing. Legally, she was screwed. She had no money, no assets, no job, nothing. And the best part? I had proof of financial misconduct, her selling my car without consent, which meant she wouldn't even get a penny in the divorce. She had played herself. Sign the papers, I said, my voice calm but firm. Or you can fight it in court and watch this get even uglier for you. She was shaking now. The reality of the situation was sinking in. Please, she whispered, let's just talk about this. We're past talking, sweetheart. This is the price you pay for betraying someone who actually cared about you. And for the first time since this whole mess started, she realized she had lost. She stared at the divorce papers like they were a death sentence, And in a way, they were. Not because she loved me. If she ever had, she wouldn't have done what she did. No, she was panicking because she needed me. She needed my money, my house, my stability. Without me, she had nothing. You don't have to do this, she tried again, her voice softer, fake sweetness dripping from every word. We can fix this. I almost laughed. She still thought she could manipulate her way out of this. No, we can't. You didn't just cross a line. You burned the damn bridge. I grabbed a pen and pushed it toward her. Sign the papers. Her jaw clenched. And what if I don't? Then I'll take you to court, I said simply. And trust me, with the financial records, the security footage, and everything else I have on you, a judge is going to eat you alive. You'll walk away with nothing either way. Signing now just saves you time and embarrassment. I could see her running the numbers in her head. She knew I was right. She knew she had no leverage, no money, no options. And she knew that no lawyer in their right mind would take her case when she had no way to pay them. Slowly, she picked up the pen. Her hands were trembling as she scrawled her name across the paper. And just like that, our marriage was officially over. She dropped the pen, looking up at me with pure hatred. You'll regret this, I smiled. Number, I won't. I gave her 3 days to pack her things and leave. She tried to drag it out, tried to guilt-trip me into letting her stay longer, but I wasn't playing her games anymore. On the 4th day, I called the locksmith, changed the locks, and when she came back from one of her little shopping runs, she couldn't get in. She lost it, pounding on the door, screaming about how I was a monster, a cheapskate, a heartless bastard. I just sat inside, sipping my coffee, watching her tantrum through the peephole. After a while, she left. And just like that, she was out of my life for good. Once she was gone, the house felt different. Emptier, yes, but also lighter. It was like a toxic cloud had finally lifted, and I could breathe again. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells, or waiting for the next fight over money, shopping, or whatever new drama she decided to stir up. I started focusing on myself, reconnecting with old friends, hitting the gym again, and diving back into hobbies I had abandoned during the marriage. And of course, I poured time and love back into my car. Having it back in the garage felt like regaining a piece of my soul she had tried to steal. People kept telling me I was better off without her, and though it felt cliché at the time, they were absolutely right. My bank account was healthier, my mind was clearer. Hell, even my dog seemed happier now that she was gone. But as much as I wanted to put it all behind me, she wasn't done haunting my life. One afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. Normally I'd ignore it, but something told me to pick up. Hey, it's me, her voice came through the line, softer than I remembered. I almost hung up right then. What do you want? She sighed, trying to sound vulnerable. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I messed up, okay? I was stressed. I wasn't thinking clearly. Can we at least try to be friends? Friends? After everything she did, after the betrayal, the lies, the theft, she thought we could be friends. I didn't even dignify it with a response. I hung up and immediately blocked her number. That should have been the end of it. But the universe had other plans. Because 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail from her lawyer. She was suing me, claiming emotional distress and demanding half of the assets she had already signed away in the divorce. It was laughable, really. But it also showed me just how far she was willing to go to keep herself afloat. And if she wanted another fight, I was ready. I stared at the letter, barely able to believe what I was reading. Emotional distress? She had the audacity to sue me for half of my assets, the same assets she had willingly signed away in the divorce? I almost felt bad for her. Almost. I called my lawyer immediately. He barely glanced at the letter before laughing. She doesn't have a case. This is just a desperate cash grab. And that's exactly what it was. Desperation. She was drowning financially. She had no job, no savings, and no more access to my money. She had spent her entire life living off others, and now, for the first time ever, she had to fend for herself. I wasn't worried about the lawsuit, but I was pissed. She was trying to drag me back into her mess, hoping that if she made my life difficult enough, I'd just throw her some money to make her go away. But she had severely underestimated me. We went to court a few weeks later. She showed up looking pathetic, overly done up, wearing cheap knockoff designer clothes like she was still living her old lifestyle. She even tried to fake tears, acting like I had ruined her life and left her with nothing. The judge didn't buy a second of it. My lawyer presented the signed divorce agreement, the financial records, and even text messages showing her blowing through the money she got from selling my car. It took the judge less than 10 minutes to throw her case out. But here's the best part. Since this was a frivolous lawsuit, the judge ordered her to cover my legal fees. She lost her case and went deeper into debt. I didn't even look at her when I left the courtroom. I just walked out feeling lighter than ever. That was the last time I ever saw her. After the court case, I expected her to try something else, some last-ditch attempt to weasel her way back into my life. But instead, she just disappeared. No more phone calls, no more texts, no more flying monkeys trying to guilt-trip me into forgiving her. It was like she finally realized that she had lost. For the first time in years, I felt completely free. I went back to focusing on myself, fixing up my car, working on my career, actually enjoying my life without someone draining my energy and my wallet every damn day. The house felt peaceful, not like a battleground where I had to constantly defend myself. Then one day, I got an unexpected message from a mutual friend. "Hey man, you won't believe what happened to your ex." Turns out, after she burned through every bridge in town, she tried to move in with one of her ex-boyfriends. And guess what? She pulled the same crap with him, maxing out his credit cards, spending his money like it was hers, and acting like a queen while contributing nothing. But this guy, he wasn't as patient as I was. He kicked her out within a month. No second chances, no emotional manipulation, just out on the street. From what I heard, she was couch surfing, bouncing from one temporary situation to another, still refusing to get a real job, still thinking she could shop her way to happiness. And honestly, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no pity, just indifference. She had dug this hole herself, and for once, she had to live with the consequences. After hearing about my ex's downward spiral, I thought I'd feel some kind of satisfaction, like, after everything she put me through, I'd finally have that I won moment. But the truth, I just didn't care anymore. I had spent so much time being angry, frustrated, betrayed, but now, she was just a lesson learned, a reminder of how blind love can make you, how people will take advantage of kindness if you let them. I wasn't going to let it happen again. So, I focused on me. I spent more time with my real friends, people who actually cared about me. I traveled, picked up new hobbies, and, best of all, I finally had the freedom to enjoy my money without someone draining it behind my back. And the car? That was the best part. I completely restored it, making it even better than before. It became more than just a car. It was a symbol of everything I took back, of everything I rebuilt after she tried to destroy it. One day, as I was taking it out for a drive, I realized something. For the first time in years, I was truly happy. Not just because I had won, not just because she had lost, but because I was free. And honestly, that was the best revenge of all. Looking back, I realized that this whole mess wasn't just about my car. It wasn't even about the money. It was about respect, something my ex-wife never had for me. She saw me as a provider, a wallet, a safety net, but never as an equal partner. And the moment she decided my hard-earned belongings were hers to sell, that was the moment she lost everything. But here's the thing. I don't hate her. I don't feel anything for her anymore. She's just a cautionary tale now. A reminder that trust should never be given blindly, that love doesn't mean sacrificing your self-respect, and most importantly, that when someone shows you who they truly are, believe them the first time. These days, my life is better than ever. I've moved on, I've grown, and I've surrounded myself with people who actually value and respect me. And my ex, well, last I heard, she was still bouncing between temporary living situations, still trying to find a new guy to fund her lifestyle. I don't wish her harm, but I sure as hell don't miss her. At the end of the day, the best revenge wasn't taking her to court. It wasn't repossessing my car or cutting her off financially. The best revenge was thriving without her. And I'm doing just that. What do you think? Have you ever had someone take advantage of your kindness and cross the line? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. And if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more wild Reddit-style stories. See you in the next one.